Hello everyone. Hi guys, welcome back to another Planty video. I am back from my new house. It is another video of planty things when you move. It is a never ending kind of thing when you're moving plants. So I moved on Friday and it is currently Wednesday. So it's been like what, 5 days, 6 days roughly. Some of my plants were moved at different stages of that because we couldn't move them all in one go and we had to keep going back and forth over the weekend grabbing more stuff. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I have severely neglected my plants. That's just reality of moving. When you're moving and you're trying to get all this stuff done, you just don't have the time to do any plant care. Like, there are priorities and your plants do get pushed to the side, but there are ways to kind of minimise the impact of that. But today, this plant shelf here needs a water desperately. As I said, it's been 5 days roughly since I moved. These have kind of only just been put into place. They have been in boxes for days and days, either at the old house or here. Any that we'd moved over here, I tried to get them out of the boxes as soon as possible, but sometimes I couldn't until the next day. So some of them are suffering. I'm surprised that more of them weren't. It's mostly my needy plants that are, but I did water my plants a week before moving roughly. It was around 5 to 7 days before. That is only because I didn't want soaking wet plants. I don't want to water them like the day before we move in. Some are going in cardboard boxes, and obviously if they're leaking water, they're gonna ruin the boxes are gonna fall through, and that's just not what you need when you're trying to move plants. Also, it avoids your boxes being too heavy. I like to put as many plants in boxes as I can. It stops them moving around too much and it just minimises damage because they're not kind of sliding around the boxes. I try and make it so none of the pots can move while they're being transported. So you kind of want them to be as dry as possible. Usually, as any of you who have moved will know, when you move, your plans don't really go to plan. So I had this plan in my head. I was going to water them like 5-7 days before. By the time we moved them, they would be thirsty and I could water them all and then put them into place. We bought a new build and we needed to put all of the carpets in and the flooring, and that was in on the Friday. We started all of that. So we didn't actually move anything on the Friday. We moved a few bits, like a van worth, but the van was mostly filled with like flooring and tiles and stuff like that. That day was very chaotic. Obviously it's a mess when all of that is being done at the same time, so we still needed to like clear all the mess out. Then the Saturday we moved half of it over, and then Sunday we moved the other half over. There were still plants and we've been going to and from the last couple of days with extra trips just in the car. Some of these plants have been in boxes for days and days. I'm not going to lie to you, that is just the reality. It just didn't go to plan. You know, my plan was to just get them all over here, water them all, put them into place, but that didn't happen. So yes, I think I'm going to stop yapping on. I am going to show you any damage that I have found on these plants at the moment. There is minimal damage, there is on some, but I will link a video up above. It should be out before this video, of my top tips for moving and what I kind of did to minimise damage and kind of how I move my plants. And it's going to be a very realistic video. I'm not going to, you know, butter things up and make them sound better than they are. I'm going to be realistic with you and just so you know what to expect, because even I moved around a year ago with plants and again it didn't go to plan. This time I had better hopes. I was like, you know, I've moved last year, I know what to expect. it still didn't go to plan. This year was worse. So it's just reality. Things don't always go to plan, but it is what it is. We are here now and we are going to take care of these plants. I'm going to stop yapping, like I've already said, and we are going to crack on with it. One thing I will say, our main bathroom upstairs, none of the plumbing is working. It's still a work in progress, and our ensuite is tiny and really dark, so I'm not going to film in there. It's not practical. So I have got my trusty watering can and 2 boxes. That one is going to be one we are watering in, and then the other one will be for like drainage. So yeah, it's going to be a bit weird, but I'm going to go with it. I also apologise for the lighting. It is so dark and gloomy outside. I know the back of this looks a bit dark. It might be better once my face isn't in this. So I apologise for that, but let's get watering. I need to grab my moisture meter because I've left that downstairs. Okay, I would also like to apologise for any background noise. They are still building up our street, some of the houses, so there's not really much I can do about it. It might be for like a few more videos, so I'm sorry about that. Can't really do anything about it. I really hope you can't hear it. That is really loud. We're just gonna have to go with it. Is what it is. Okay, so this philodendron, varicosum, actually doing really well. This is the newest leaf that I was really quite concerned about. I can't tell if this is focusing. I don't think it is. This is a new leaf I was really worried about because it is still kind of soft. It's only just come out. There's no damage. That bottom of that leaf was already like that. And this leaf is looking a little bit droopy, but it was kind of already like that. So I'm not going to stress about that too much. I apologise, I'm filming on my camera and the focusing does not want to play ball most of the time. So this one is absolutely fine, no damage whatsoever. It's a little bit dusty, but I'm going to clean them off another time. Probably the next time I need watering, I'll probably put them in the shower once our main bathroom is kind of all up together and kind of hose them down. And this guy is very thirsty. That's what I quite like about these plastic pots, is you can really see if the plant is thirsty or not. This alocasia, these little guys, some of them are really struggling, moving stress. I'm not entirely sure, but the roots all look fine and the soil is still quite moist, which is really good. I feel like this is one that I quickly checked on before we moved and potted up, but I think this just needs a little bit of TLC. So my lemon lime pothos is doing really well. The only thing I would say, this is not quite finished hardening off yet. It's still a little bit soft, and as you can see, it kind of stunted the growth. This one is way bigger. And I do feel like that is just because of the move. It's probably stress. It wasn't getting the best lighting. But I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but we have got a new leaf coming here. The top is a little bit snapped, but that's fine. It's coming out and it's not suffering too much. This one doesn't look like it needs watering. This guy really does not need watering. It actually looks really quite wet still, which is a bit concern. I can't remember when I watered this one. But this one definitely does not need watering. We will let that dry out. This guy is doing really not well. I mean, this leaf was on its way out anyway. It's got baby leaf on the way, but I've noticed that the bottom is rotting, which is really, really not good. And it's kind of been pulled out of the soil, which is probably a bit of a godsend. Being pulled out of the soil in the move, but can you see that bit here? I'm gonna have to pop this to the side and do some TLC with this at the end of this video. I think I'm gonna have to chop it and re-root, which is not the most ideal thing in the world. This one is just very unwell. It's not been doing very well the whole time, like ever since I chopped it back. But fingers crossed I can save it. I'm gonna have to reroot this. That is disappointing. I'm not gonna worry about watering that because I need to chop that straight back anyway. Okay, this caladium is doing really well. This leaf is a little bit droopy, but that's fine. It has also got a new leaf on the way, which is exciting. I'm really pleased about that. This one is one that I kind of saw was really thirsty because I'd forgotten to water it with the others. So this one doesn't need watering, which is probably why it's doing so well and putting out a new leaf. So I'm just going to pop this back on the shelf to do its thing. This alocasia is doing really well. This one, obviously I could see when it was getting really dry and I was able to catch this when it needed watering. And we have got a new leaf coming, which I'm really excited about. This was in the One Leaf Club. It was really unwell. The whole thing rotted on me and it is starting to root. They're not quite reached here yet, but I pull back the soil a tiny bit. Can you see in here we have got some roots forming, which is so exciting. I'm so glad. I wanted this plant for so long and it just rotted on me when I got it, and it's a baby anyway, which is probably not the best kind of calathea and not the best kind of alocasia to get as a baby. I've not had that much kind of experience, you could say, with them, but I think I'm doing really well. I think this was rotting when I bought it originally anyway. I think it wasn't my doing. I think this was already rotted or starting to rot when I bought it. It was in really wet soil and I didn't change it out straight away, so I think that kind of sabotaged me. Sorry, I just got a phone call about the house. Can't remember what I was saying, but I'm just going to move on to the next one. Okay, so this Syngonium is actually doing really, really well. Not had any problems with it, and it doesn't need watering, surprisingly, this one. This one does stay quite like damp in the soil for a bit longer than like other ones would. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one. No damage on this plant from moving, and it is still putting out new leaves, which is exciting. Always good. This one is constantly putting out new leaves. Went through a bit of a dramatic stage where it like lost loads of leaves up above, but I quite like it. It's kind of like weird and wacky. So yeah, this one is all good. Doesn't need watering or anything. This alocasia is looking really unwell. It's very floppy. I think it really, really needs a water, but you're going to be able to see we have got a little new growth point coming out, which is exciting. It will be out of the One Leaf Club, although I think this one might croak it as soon as we get out. We will probably be straight back in again, but this leaf is so beautiful. Hoping the next one's this big. we will see. But I'm going to give this one a little bit of a water now. Okay, this calathea. We had a casualty on this one. This leaf snapped. At the moment I'm kind of leaving it on there. I've not really had the time to cut it off, and I don't actually have any scissors with me now. So it'll just have to do. And also we are losing this leaf, which I'm a bit gutted about, because that's going to be 2 leaves now that will be gone. But as you would have seen before, I had 2 new leaves coming in. This one that came out first, there is a little bit of damage on it. Don't know whether you're going to be able to see. There is a little bit of damage kind of around here. And then this one is still really small, and this one hasn't had any damage, but neither of them have really grown. They were growing quite fast before, and now they've kind of slowed down. So I hope that doesn't mean that they're going to kind of just stop. But this one's doing quite well. I can't tell if it needs watering. Don't actually think this one does. I think this one could go a little bit longer without watering. I'll probably come back in a few more days and check. I'm actually really surprised about the ones up here that don't need watering. A lot of the ones downstairs, most of them needed watering. So I'm quite surprised how well these are doing. Okay. This guy needs a water, I can tell, because the leaves are all starting to curl a little bit, and this one did have a little bit of damage. Some of the leaves at the bottom have got some damage and are starting to brown. Here and there are quite a few others. So I'm quite conscious, just like once this has been watered, to kind of stop moving it around, just to make sure, just to like try and let it chill a little bit and kind of sort itself out, because it has got quite a bit of damage. This one I had to like curl all around the top of the pot and then kind of try and untangle it when I put it back on the shelf. Okay, and my big Marble Queen, I think the leaves don't feel too thin, but I think might need a drizzle of water. But this one did quite well with the move. Because it is so long, I kind of waited for it. I kind of waited for it to, it's probably like one of the last ones I moved over, and in the back of the car I kind of found a spot where I could jam the pot into where it wouldn't move, and then laid the rest of it like the length of the car. And then when I got to this house, I kind of took it out and carried it straight in and like put it up on a shelf straight away. So this one probably had the best journey. It was like on a bed of blankets. So this one doesn't have any damage that I've seen so far. It's still pushing out so much growth, which is always good. And I'm hoping that it will keep pushing it out. This is constantly putting out leaves, this plant. It never really stops, but I'm hoping that the ones that are coming out now, after that, it doesn't kind of stop from stress. Okay, and another guy. Here we have got my Epipremnum pinnatum variegata. Is doing very well. We have got new leaves coming out, which I'm really happy about, and they haven't been damaged, which so far anyway I've not seen. The new leaves have not been damaged. You can kind of see them here. There's one, and there's another one around here somewhere. But yeah, this one's doing really well. No damage, no new damage anyway, especially like on the new leaves, there's none. This one, and like all the ones on poles, I put in boxes like this that are really, really high up and kind of put them back onto the box and then taped the top to the box, and again like packed in plants in the bottom as well so that it wouldn't move around and the pole wasn't like swaying around a lot either, which I think is another good tip. Really helpful. Stops the plants moving around too much, which means less damage. And this guy does need watering. Where have I put my watering can? It's behind me. This guy's looking really beautiful, and it grows so fast, which I'm really excited about. This room as well, like, and even now the lighting's not too bad. It's still really bright light in here, and it's such a dark and gloomy day. So there's a south facing window, so it is going to be really bright. And on sunny days, we've had a couple of sunny days in this house, and the sun doesn't come like blaring in, which is really good. So if we do have direct sunlight coming in, it won't be much, and I don't think it will really come onto these plants. It will just make the room really bright. So I'm really, really hoping this guy gets quite far up the pole this summer. I mean, it was kind of here when I bought it a few months ago, and it's already grown up to here. This is another one that is constantly putting out leaves and growing and maturing. If you would really want something that's really satisfying to grow up a pole and grows really fast, I would recommend these, because I'm so surprised how fast they grow, and they're so rewarding, I would say. Okay, and this one is my euphorbia, which has got some damage on the top here. See if I can get it to focus on it. If my face. So we have got some damage on the top here. It got kind of mushed in the car. I think a car door got it got stuck in the car door. But that's fine. This plant, like, it doesn't really bother me if cactus, like, the tops of them kind of get damaged and they can't grow from there anymore. Like, they can't keep growing up because they will branch out. I've had my large monstera, which has snapped twice now when it's fallen over, and it just pushes out a new branch, and then it looks really nice and big and bushy. So that doesn't bother me. It will just encourage it to grow more outwards. Encourage these ones to grow a bit further up, which is fine. This one is doing really good. It does need a water. Don't think I watered this one kind of before we moved. I think I watered it quite a while before, like 2 weeks ago. It takes quite a while to dry out this one. Again, I had a certain way of moving my cactus. I'm not going to get into detail with that at the moment. Go and check out my video if you want more tips on moving, because I feel like a broken record. I'm just going to keep repeating myself. But there is an easy way to move cactus, so I would recommend, if you have a lot, just check out that video and I will tell you there. Okay, my burrows tail is absolutely fine actually. I'm really surprised because this drops the little leaves like nobody's business. If you knock it, even look at it the wrong way, it will drop leaves. And this one's actually done really well. It didn't knock too many. I think it's good that they're all kind of condensed on the top, more or less, apart from these ones. But they didn't really knock off too many leaves. As you can see, they're still quite bushy. It's just kind of some in here. So this is doing really well. I am so pleased. I kind of just packed this in a pot in the box, like surrounded by other like plants, and kind of left this section like where it was like empty, so it wasn't knocking against other plants. But it's doing really well. I've recently put it in this like painted terracotta pot, and it seems to be doing loads better than when it was in just a plastic pot. It just seems to be pushing out more growth. I'm giving it better lighting as well. It's in like bright sunlight now, so it's really booting off. I was really considering selling this or like gifting it to somebody when I was doing a clear out of all my plants when I moved, but I'm so glad I didn't. Like, I've recently really fallen back in love with this plant. My other one completely rotted on me, so this is all completely grown from the little leaves. It completely rotted on me, the other one, and I literally had a tiny pot. If I remember which video it's in, I will link it up above, but it was in this tiny little pot and all these little leaves were rooting, and this is how big it's got now. So it's always worth just giving it a second go. It's no harm. Now it's bigger and bushier than it was before. Before I only had a few vines, but yeah, it's so cute. Can't tell. Let me put my finger in the bottom. I think this might need a little bit of water. I'm not going to water it too much. Again, I don't know where my moisture meter is to check for certain, but I'm just going to give this a drizzle. I know this does like to stay a bit on the moister side, especially when they are still quite babies like this. I think that will do. Okay, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've kind of enjoyed this video. It's a little bit of like an update-y video, and I hope it's helped you to see kind of what to expect once you've moved with your plants. As I said, all the ones that are downstairs needed a lot more water, which is a bit weird. I think it's because the majority of the plants that are up here are the ones that lived upstairs in my old house, and I watered them like 4 or 5 days before maybe, which might be why they've lasted a bit longer. These were all the ones that were left in the other house for longer. That other house is colder, so maybe that's why. Not sure, but the noise outside is getting really loud again, so I'm going to quickly wrap up this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope the background noise isn't too horrendous throughout. Comment down below if you're moving soon and if this kind of video has been helpful for you at all. And don't forget to check out my other kind of tips and tricks for moving that I will have linked up above. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more from me, and follow my Instagram and Being in the Studio for more like day-to-day updates and other bits and bobs from me. I'm also going to be sharing a lot of like decor stuff with you on there as well, so hope you enjoy that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next week for another Planty video. Bye guys!